Today I'll be wrapping up Mecha May, and what a better way to wrap it up than by reviewing the cartoon that pretty much inspired me to do Mecha May. The intro wasn't obvious enough, and that cartoon is none other than Megas XLR. The XLR, if you don't know, stands for Extra Large Robot. Awesome! Oh boy, where do I begin with this one? Well, I actually don't remember watching much of the series when I was younger, as for some reason I always had the bad luck of always catching an episode right before it ended. However, this year I had the chance to properly sit down and watch through the series, and I have to say, this is a pretty kick-ass cartoon. Now for those who don't know, Megas XLR follows Coop, a big eater and video game enthusiast slash mechanic, and his slacker wannabe cool guy friend, Jamie, who one day at their local junkyard discover a giant rusty robot, in which Coop decides to modify the shit out of it and puts his car on top of it. Now, how a simple mechanic is able to do this, well, who cares, because it's awesome! As it turns out, the giant robot Coop modified is from the distant future and is humanity's last hope of survival from the evil alien threat known as the Glorft, which sounds like a sound effect for puking rather than a threatening alien species. Glorft! Anyways, this robot's name is Megas, and an ass-kicking soldier from the future named Kiva travels back in time in order to retrieve Megas and bring it back to the future to end the alien threat. However, she finds Megas is practically unusable due to Coop's modifications. But no worries, as thanks to all of his years of playing video games, Coop is a pro at kicking alien ass, giving Earth some hope against the alien threat, if Coop doesn't wind up destroying Earth himself, because holy shit, the destruction in this series is insane. Not a single episode passes by without an entire town or planet blowing up. And you know what? It's awesome! Megas XLR is easily one of the most stupidly awesome cartoons to ever be made, because my god, this series is stupid. But that's not a bad thing. I myself and every other fan of the series love Megas for it, since nothing is more pleasing than seeing a dude and his giant robot beat the ever-living shit out of other giant robots and alien monsters while firing off a shitload of lasers. And Megas knows this, as it pretty much does it every single episode, and it's awesome! Which is increased further with its soundtrack, which is pretty headbanging. I mean seriously, just listen to some of these tracks. Awesome! However, beyond the stupidly insane action and rocking music, for me personally, the thing I like most about Megas XLR are all the video game, kaiju, and anime references. I mean, it's pretty obvious this cartoon was heavily inspired by the three, but seeing Coop and crew go off against kaiju like aliens, giant mutant video game characters, as well as the Gotchaman, Captain Harlock, Sailor Moon, and even fucking Mazinger Z voiced by Peter fucking Cullen. So fucking awesome! All this chaos going around, there's bound to be some laughs, and the comedy here is pretty well done. While Megas is definitely one of those series where you just throw all logic out the window when watching, the comedy, while maybe a bit crude at times, can be pretty smart, mainly because the series knows exactly what it is, and utilizes it perfectly, bringing out some pretty hilarious moments. Personally for me, the funniest moments in this series is whenever Coop presses a very random and oddly specific button. They're just plain hilarious. Speaking of Coop, let's talk about the characters here. Coop is a super likable guy that shows fat gamers who live with their moms can be badass, which is not something you see every day. Now, how he isn't dead from all the food he squashes down every episode is beyond me, but the real thing I question about his character is how no one really calls him out for all the destruction he causes. Sure, he's always fighting off some sort of alien threat, some of which he actually caused, but really, you can actually argue that Coop causes way more damage than any alien in the series. And for the most part, everyone is like really chill about it. I mean, I know over-the-top destruction is mainly used as a running gag in the series, but honestly, you gotta wonder at times the ethics of this series. Though I've read my fair share of 80s manga, and well, the ethics in those series aren't really the greatest either. I'm looking at you, Kaniku man. Though they did sort of slightly address this issue in a two-parter, but it obviously wasn't fully developed. Anyways, moving on, we have Jamie, Coop's best friend, who is kind of a jerk, but still remains likable. Somehow. I'm willing to bet it's mainly because Steve Bloom voices him. Awesome! Finally, rounding out the cast of main characters is Kiva, the badass soldier from the future, and that's pretty much all to her character. Sure, the way her character is set up does lead to some very funny scenarios, but for the most part, I found her kinda uninteresting. And given the series' episodic nature, there wasn't any time to really develop any of the three either. Also, not much of a supporting cast here. The only one I could really pick out being Goat the Junkyard Man, who always gets a chuckle out of me. However, thanks to the series' episodic style, we are treated to a wide range of different villains. And while I do like a lot of their designs, as expected of this type of series, they're all pretty much your standard I'ma destroy the town / planet type of villains. But there are a couple exceptions, the most notable being this alien guy, who is voiced by Bruce freaking Campbell. And well, let's say, it's pretty on point.
Not so strong now, are you? Not against magnanimous?
Thank you very much.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Awesome! Though I guess this would be more appropriate. However, as many oddly specific buttons Coop had in his arsenal, there sadly wasn't a Get Season 3 button, as Megas only lasted 2 with a total of 26 episodes, and never really concluded its story before it was cancelled. That sounds kinda familiar. Oh yeah, Symbiotic Titan got the same treatment. Starting to have a feeling Cartoon Network doesn't dig giant robots. While there always has been talks about bringing Megas back, nothing has been concrete yet as of making this video. But with Samurai Jack returning, there's always hope. Would also mention Powerpuff Girls, but no one really wants to talk about the new one. Hopefully though, if Megas XLR does come back, it does have a bit more of a structured story, since the episodic stuff was fine for what we already have, but there is a limit to how far it could go before it starts to lose its appeal. Anyways, with all that being said and done, there is a reason why this series gained such a cult following. It's jam-packed with action, comedy, that video game, kaiju, old school anime fans, as well as people who dig giant robots can enjoy, which is why I say Megas XLR is an amazing cartoon. And with that, we are done with Mecha May. While there were a couple of other videos I had planned for this month, I sadly didn't have enough time. As always, I am MrFalconpunch 996. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you haven't done any of that yet, you will be Falcon Punch in the face, so you better do it. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.